the law of change in a workshop a week or two ago, and I'm still kind of feeling like I need to keep talking. So today, that's not my topic. Just say it. Is that I also wanted to tell you a little story. Is that years ago, I went into a restaurant in Lake Helen, which is only a couple miles down the road from us in Casadega. The restaurant isn't there anymore. It was called the Copper Cove, and so many of us used to frequent it for breakfast or whatever. So I went in, and they had a dry ride board near the front, one of the doors, and it would have a question on it. And if you answered the question correctly, you got your tea or coffee. I don't drink coffee, but I love iced tea. So it was a big deal, okay? So a lot of the questions, I didn't know what they were. And there was one about who won the Super Bowl and yada yada. And I don't follow football a lot either, but I won that question. That was really weird. But anyway, but the question that I really loved was, who said, don't eat more than you can lift? Think about it. Don't eat more than you can lift. Well, the answer is Miss Piggy. I got it. I just want you to know that change occurs for each of us all the time. It's an important thing for you and me that I've been coming to this church for a long time. I was one of the charter members. My name's on that, whatever's on the wall back there. And that's how many years ago?
I don't want to say.
Okay. Probably wise not to. But what I want to encourage is the principles that you read, to me, are incredibly significant, not just because we recite them and we do a good job of that, but how we live them. And so when we talk about infinite intelligence, which is the first principle, I don't necessarily identify totally that that infinite's out here. I think that infinite is everywhere, and it is within and without, and it is everything, and I call it the isness. And the information is interesting because the declaration of principles are something that you can live in your own way, bless you, and in your own time. And you don't have to do them according to some leader or some person that might exemplify a lot of things to you, but they give you an opportunity within you. The beauty of understanding that that infinite resides within us and outside of us, to me, is the fact that everything seeks change. And we know that in physics, and we know that from the scientific understanding of chaos, and that everything seeks change. And yet in our lives, that change can often be a ruffle, or that change can be a dramatic alteration, or that change can be an uncertainty that we have, like I had when I was driving in from the interstate on 436 and wondering what was happening with the lanes that seemed to disappear. Just saying. So the other thing is that when you talk about the second principle, that we believe in the phenomena of nature, a lot of people think, well, that's just nice, and we recite it. Well, natural law happens to be my love, because it's not only philosophical, part of it can be scientifically understood, and then there's the religious aspect. But I'm not thrilled about religion as much as I am the essence of all that you are. The substance of who you are predicts what your ethics are going to be and how you're going to function. Those are things that are internal within you. They are not external. external or those morals that you're taught or that information that you're given from the time that you're very little to the time that you are here today. And you know what's the amazing thing today, because I did mention change, is your world is never going to be the same as it was 10 minutes ago. And that is an incredible thing. When you realize that, you realize how much there's open-ended potential for everything. And open-ended potential means to me that's our infinite, and that's also the understanding of ethics, and that's also the understanding of life after death, because there's so much more. And it's not just about, and please know I say this with great respect, it's not just about communicating with Aunt Harriet in her house coat. And I use that a lot when I'm talking, and not because I don't respect life after death and communication with the unseen side. But it's not all there is. And all there is to me is so abundant. And these principles have that in focus and in mind. The creators of spiritualism and the people that reviewed and searched are people that had a lot of thought. And their thoughts were an openness, an expansiveness, a thing that could look up at the sky and recognize how vast it is and realize it's only what you can see and it's so much more. So in your life, and the reason I'm talking like this, because I'm not real scientific, even though I want to sound profound, but I'm not skilled in that. I'm skilled at talking, and I'm skilled at sharing. And I've been teaching natural law for almost 50 years. And it's about the fact that we understand natural law, but not from the complicated part, the simplisticness of it. Change is something all of us experience. You're changing as you sit here. The cellular structure of you is altered. The emotional you is shifting. Shifting good, shifting not so hot, shifting and waiting for lunch. I don't know where you're shifting, but you have that option. And that's the incredible part of you that has free will. So when we talk about also the principle about the golden rule, my golden rule is a little different. And my golden rule is act as you would have others react to you. And a part of that is because so often when we think we're doing something beneficial or giving something to somebody else, sometimes we're not. Sometimes we're doing it for ourselves. So it allows us to stay attentive, because some of those things that you admire about you or other people doesn't mean that they aren't generous in spirit, and it doesn't mean that they have a limitation of who they are. It just means that they're changing as well. We're going through a lot of changes quickly. If you've noticed, summer seems to be sliding on through. It's lasting a little bit longer, and it will, but it's still sliding on through. I grew up in the desert, so hot was there. During the summers, 118, 120, 117, normal. But because our life is different now, because of air conditioning, and that we have it available and we're inside more quite often than we're outside, is our bodies have shifted and changed, haven't they? And change means alter. Change means shift. Change means another way. So one thing I would want to encourage you with is your life is composed of choices, lots of choices. So for today, when the weather is warm and it's uncomfortable, you can say, I'm hot and I'm uncomfortable, because that's real, perhaps. But it's going to continue for a while. So how are you going to alter you to be okay through whatever the time frame is we have to experience this. And so it's not to be afraid of it as much as to say, okay, I'll deal with it day to day, moment to moment. The choices you make and the changes you make, if you're making those choices based upon today, I'm making choice right now with what I say and what I present. But if those choices are only based upon your past, they're not going to be based upon the truth of this moment and the energies that you are experiencing and what you're going through. They're going to be based upon what you think you should go through, or looking for a consistency from your past experiences or relationships, jobs, tasks, all of it. That isn't a bad thing. It's just a thing. So what happens with life as we experience it now is the fact that if you change anything about you, and it can be just a little change, if you change anything about you, it changes everything. If you change anything, it changes everything. I have a tendency when I drive in, I go to the CVS nearby so I can walk around a little. And so I go in there and the same person is there behind the cash register. Very nice man. And today I noticed he was wearing braces. Yeah. And he's always very friendly, and so we were chatting, and I said, "You have braces on?" And he said, "Yes, I've had them for quite a while." And I said, "Well, I haven't been here for quite a while." And I said, "Are you doing okay with them?" I wouldn't wish braces on anybody. But the benefit of them is there. So some of the choices you make, whatever the choice is for him and why, that's his business. But it's an important thing to know that there's something for him that he's wanting to alter, change, or correct, or experience, isn't there? And the same is true for all of you. Is the fact that you're here today, some of you may be here just for lunch, and it sounds really good. However, I'm going to go home right after the service because I don't have air conditioning in my home this morning. I have heat. And that was my surprise and my choice to come on in and not call Annette and say, "Oh, Annette, I got this situation." My choice, not yours. You have choices all the time. And those choices can lead you to utilize your skills, your talents, your knowledge. They can be the thing that helps you explore life after death. They can be the thing that helps you to determine about healing and the energetic movement of it, and how you wish to extend it to other people. Those choices can allow you to expand all of those skills that you have yet to develop, because you will. And that's the amazing thing. All of you have more life ahead, really. And with that, there's opportunity for expansion. When we talk in the 9th principle about the gift of prophecy and healing, it's not about just the fact that there's only a few that can do it. All of you have it. Many of you have not trained it or discovered about it or explored it. But it doesn't mean it's not there, because it is. There are energies within each and every one of us that are extended out into this thing called space that my hand is running through. And those energies we know are subatomic particles, and we know they're bouncing on each other and they're creating sound and color. I think that's physical science 8th grade, but don't quote me. And so what's here in the invisible? It's not just Aunt Harriet and her house coat. It's so much more. And we're on a wonderful timeline of discovery in our planet, as well as in our humanity. This is a time when I feel the truth is coming out about a lot of things. Some of those things are not pleasant, and some of those things are just, wow. And how are you going to respond? So right here in these principles, there is comfort. And right here in these principles is opportunity. And right here in these principles are guidelines to say, if there's something that's making you unhappy or something that's not fulfilling, walk outside, or if it's too hot for you and uncomfortable, look at a plant, watch a nature program. Well, I get sensitive when things eat things, but enjoy life, because life is what you have. A lot of times, there are a lot of fear-based kinds of things we're witnessing. And, you know, we see a commercial for a medication, and it's like, whoa, because we hear the side effects, and it often makes us go, well, I don't really know if I want to take that. Or we go to a medical practitioner, and then we allow them to tell us about ourselves. And that's okay. But one thing to note, excuse me, is if you keep your healing in your own hands, then you're going to work with that practitioner instead of feeling like they had all the answers and should. We have a lot of shoulds in our life, and those shoulds are often those moralistic views of being a nice person. And it doesn't mean all of you are supposed to stop being nice people. You can as soon as I get out of the room. But for now, what I'm getting at is that there is a wonderful opportunity for you to see a potential at any moment, at any time. There's unlimited potentials because of this infinite, and there's unlimited potentials because of the inspiration and the guidance and the impressions that all of you have from time to time. Many of you have had opportunity, and I'm going to punch here, Annette. You've had opportunity to see Annette up here being the chairperson for how long? And I just want you to know that if you haven't explored being a chairperson, do it. Because this is a wonderful, warm room. The church where I'll be speaking in a couple of weeks has a seating capacity of 300 people. The platform is up here where we have to climb up to it, and then we're talking down. The dynamics of it are very different, but here it's comfortable. And speaking to one another, the equality is so precious. It's so precious. I don't know a lot of you. I may never see you again. But isn't it amazing how we can cross each other's path in lifetime after lifetime? And in crossing each other's path, we all serve a purpose. You give me an opportunity to do what I love to do. And hopefully there's something in the experience today, whether it's the healing that you went through with the meditation, whether it's a hymn that reminds you of something precious, whether it's a word I speak or something that occurs even later. I'm telling you, the food's really good. Just saying. But it's an amazing thing that we're all here doing this thing at this time. And those of you who I need to pay because I asked you to come, I'll see you later. So, what about the principles and what about change? Change is a given. Change is going to happen. In natural law, it's one of our principles, and it's my love, is that I use laws that have very simple titles. And only because if I say the word change, it doesn't mean you have to change anything. If I say the word change, it doesn't mean you have to alter you to be better because of whatever. It just means that if life is altering in any way, if it is shifting for any reason, it's to explore that. Explore it. And if it doesn't feel like it's yours, it's okay. But explore it from the standpoint of you. And if it's something that you have to do or something you feel obligated toward, that's okay. But see if you can experience it from a little different place within you. The spirit of us works best at play. It works least under obligation. If you feel obligated to learn something, to do something, and we can have a lot of things we can feel obligated to. We can have stuff we feel obligated to. I have a friend that has 2 storage units, big ones, and they're loaded to the gills. And this person is holding on to stuff for his grandchildren. His grandchildren are little persons. And I'm going, okay, but... So there's an obligation in that, there's a sentimentality in that. Is there a real impression that he's having to do so? I don't know, that's his business. But when I was informed of the 2 storage units, and I'm going, okay, you're going to keep these for 20 years? And then you're going to hope that these little people are going to want them. Prior to your pituitary changes, you don't reason. So if you say to a 3-year-old, oh, here's a buffet that your grandparents owned. Won't you love to have that when you're older? You can just see this little person going, sure, okay. And when they grow, are they going to feel the same way, or you can hold it over their head? We have a lot of that, don't we? And it doesn't mean it's wrong, and it doesn't mean he's wrong. It's just I go, oh, the obligations we set up in life are amazing. So whatever the obligations you have, whatever the commitments that you have, they're yours. And for today, review and look at these principles and ask yourself if this is something that can help you, to help you see it a different way, to explore it in a different energy, to experience life with a sense of joy and hope, because it is here. And that hope is real. And that hope is something that is one of those wonderful potentials of that infinite, because there's hope in everything. When you change one little thing, you change everything. That little alteration of your thinking process can shift time and time again. And when it does, there's a new you. And when there's a new you, you may look the same that you've looked for a long time. You may act the same way to a lot of people who know you and think you're predictable. But you know what? Every moment you're changing, and every day you're a little different, and every moment you're adding to you. And what I will encourage you with is to know that throughout this life and every breath you take, there is hope and opportunity and more joy. There's more joy in the infinite than there is pain. And it's a matter of how we focus. Focus intentionally and know Rosie's finished filming. And I've enjoyed being with you, and thank you for listening.